Have you ever looked in the mirror and realized you've been wearing the same hairstyle for decades? Maybe it's the style you wore back when your kids were little, or even the one you started your career with. But here's the question, is that haircut still flattering you today, or is it quietly adding years to your look? The truth is, age is not a barrier to beauty. With the right haircut, your face can look brighter, your presence more confident, and your style more youthful and full of life. It's not about chasing the look you had at 20. It's about choosing a style that highlights the woman you are now, elegant, vibrant, and completely in your element. In this video, I'm not just going to point out 5 hairstyles that often make women over 60 look older than they really are. I'll also show you modern, flattering alternatives that instantly lift and refresh your look. Along the way, I'll share real stories of women who transformed their appearance simply by updating their haircut, and the compliments they received from friends and family were proof of a change. Plus, I'll give you simple, practical tips for keeping your hair healthy, soft, and full of movement every single day. So if you've been thinking about making a small change that could have a big impact, you're in the right place. By the end of this video, I promise you'll see your hairstyle and your confidence in a whole new light. Let's be honest, ladies, especially those of us over 60. Many of us have held on to the same hairstyle for decades because it once made us feel polished and put together. But here's the truth, that stiff, helmet-like style with heavy hairspray might have looked classy back in the 70s or 80s. Today, though, it often makes us look older, more rigid, and less approachable. Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like your hair was stuck in place, almost frozen in time? I remember one client in her mid-60s who had worn the same sprayed, rounded, helmet hair for more than 30 years. When I asked her why, she laughed and said, "Because it makes me feel neat and proper." But the reality was that hairstyle cast shadows over her face, blocked the natural light, and made her look tired instead of vibrant. Once I encouraged her to try a soft, layered bob with movement, the difference was incredible. People immediately said she looked 8 to 10 years younger, and more importantly, she felt lighter and more confident. Studies from the American Academy of Dermatology have shown that softer hairstyles with natural movement can make women over 60 look up to 30% more radiant compared to stiff, overly structured styles. That's powerful, isn't it? It proves that sometimes a fresh haircut can do more for us than any expensive beauty treatment. Do you agree that soft, touchable hair makes you seem warmer and more confident? I'll share a personal story too. When I was 58, I still wore my hair in a stiff, sprayed style every time I left the house. I thought it looked done and professional. But one day, my daughter looked at me and said, "Mom, you should try something softer. You'll see the difference." So I did. I cut it into a chin-length bob with layers, swapped hairspray for a lightweight mousse, and styled it with a round brush and a quick blowout. For the first time in years, I felt free, modern, and surprisingly youthful. And here's the lesson. Asterisk volume is beautiful only when it's soft, not stiff asterisk. You don't have to give up fullness, you just need to let your hair move naturally. A simple round brush, a little mousse, and a gentle blow dry are all it takes to create lift and bounce without turning your style into a helmet. So let me ask you, does your current hairstyle make you look younger, or does it unintentionally add years to your face? If you looked in the mirror this morning and felt your hair was holding you back, maybe it's time for a small but powerful change. And speaking of change, let's move into the next style. Another haircut many women choose for convenience, but one that can sometimes make the face look harsh and severe. Let's talk about the ultra-short crop. Many women over 60 choose to cut their hair very short because they believe it will be easier to manage. But have you noticed that when the cut is too close to the scalp, the face looks harsher and every wrinkle becomes more visible? Have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror with a super short cut and thought, "Why do I look so stern and severe?" I once worked with a woman in her early 70s who chose a boyish crop for convenience. She thought short hair would save time, but the result was the opposite of what she wanted. Her face appeared harder, less soft, almost harsh. When I guided her toward a modern pixie with soft layers and a side-swept fringe, her look completely transformed. Her face brightened. Her jawline looked more refined, and she suddenly appeared younger and more vibrant. People around her said it was as if she had turned back the clock just by changing her haircut. According to a 2023 AARP survey, About 42% of women over 60 opt for short hair mainly for convenience. But short doesn't have to mean plain or masculine. The secret is in the details: layers for softness, side bangs for balance, and a little lift at the crown to frame the face. These small touches elevate a practical short cut into a polished and elegant style. I've experienced this myself. When I turned 60, I once tried a super short crop thinking it would save me from blow drying and fussing with my hair. But when I looked in the mirror, I felt like I had lost part of my femininity. I looked too severe. My daughter even said, "Mom, you look strong, but not very warm." That comment stuck with me. So I went back to my stylist and asked for a slightly longer pixie with side swept bangs and layers that framed my face. The difference was amazing. Softer, more elegant, and even my favorite earrings suddenly stood out more beautifully than before. So let me ask you, have you ever tried a haircut that was too short and later regretted it? Do you feel like your hairstyle today makes you look approachable and radiant, or does it feel a little too harsh for your personality? The takeaway is clear. Short hair can be chic, stylish, and empowering after 60. But it needs shape, intention, and just a hint of femininity to balance elegance with maturity. A pixie with texture, layers, and a soft side fringe, paired with accessories like earrings or a silk scarf, can highlight your beauty far more than an ultra-short, shapeless crop ever could. And now that we've talked about the risks of cutting too short, let's move to the opposite extreme. What happens when we hold on to hair that's too long, dragging down our face and energy? That's exactly what we'll explore next. So many women over 60 hold on to long hair because it feels feminine and youthful. But here's the truth. Once hair starts thinning and losing volume, those extra inches don't flatter anymore. Instead of making us look elegant, long flat hair can drag the face down, highlight sagging around the jawline, and leave us looking tired. Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like your long hair wasn't lifting you up, but actually pulling you down? I remember working with a pianist in her early 60s who had worn waist-length hair her entire adult life. She felt it was part of her identity, but over the years it had become thin, limp, and usually pulled back just to keep it out of the way. On stage, under the lights, her hair didn't add grace. It actually made her look more drained. When I suggested cutting it into a shoulder-length lob with soft layers and loose waves, the transformation was stunning. Her face looked brighter, her features softer, and the audience even commented that she seemed 10 years younger with a fresh new energy. According to a 2022 L'Oreal report, more than 55% of women over 55 noticed their hair becomes thinner and more fragile compared to their 30s. That's why clinging to extra length isn't always doing us a favor. A modern lob, shoulder length, with layers for movement and waves for texture, can create fullness and vitality that long, lifeless hair simply can't. I can speak from my own experience as well. At 59, I was still holding on to long hair because I thought it reminded me of my younger self. But every time I let it down, I felt like my face was being pulled downward with it. My daughter finally said, "Mom, long hair doesn't make you look younger anymore. Try shoulder length. You'll see the difference." And she was right. Once I cut it into a lob with soft waves, people immediately told me I looked fresher, more modern, and that my whole face seemed to light up. So let me ask you, are you keeping your long hair out of habit or nostalgia? Do you feel it's truly highlighting your femininity? Or is it quietly taking away from your natural glow? The lesson is clear. Youthfulness isn't in the length. It's in the life your hair carries. A shoulder-length lob with layers and gentle waves can be far more youthful, elegant, and flattering than long, lifeless strands weighing you down. And now that we've talked about the risks of going too long, let's move into another controversial style: heavy blunt bangs. They may promise to hide lines, but often they end up making the face look heavier and harsher. Let's break that down next. One style a lot of women over 60 turn to when they want to hide forehead lines is the blunt, heavy bang cut straight across like a ruler. At first, it feels like a quick fix. Cover the lines, look younger, right? But the reality is, thick blunt bangs often do the opposite. They weigh the face down, make the eyes look smaller, and create a harsh line that fights against the natural flow of your features. Have you ever tried blunt bangs and felt like your face looked boxy or too heavy instead of soft and graceful? I had a friend in her mid-60s who decided to cut a thick fringe hoping it would hide her wrinkles. She quickly realized it was high maintenance. Constant trims, flat ironing, and the stress of keeping it perfectly straight. Instead of making her look youthful, it started to feel like a burden. When I suggested she try curtain bangs, a softer style that parts slightly in the middle and frames the face, she was amazed at the difference. Her face opened up, her cheekbones looked more defined, and people commented that she looked polished, modern, and effortlessly elegant. A Good Housekeeping survey in 2021 found that 37% of women over 55 had tried blunt bangs at some point to look younger. But most ended up moving towards softer, wispy styles once they saw how much more flattering they were. It's proof that bangs should move with the face, not cut across it like a barrier. I'll admit, I fell into the same trap once. When I was in my early 60s, I thought a blunt bang would cover my lines and give me a fresher look. But when I looked in the mirror, my eyes seemed smaller and my whole face looked heavier. My daughter finally said, "Mom, try curtain bangs. You'll see the difference." And she was right. Once I switched to longer, face-framing bangs, my style felt lighter, more modern, and so much easier to live with. So let me ask you, have you ever cut blunt bangs and later regretted it? Do you think your current bangs are highlighting your best features, or are they making your face feel closed off? The lesson is clear. Your hair should move naturally with your face, not fight against it. Curtain bangs, side swept bangs, or light wispy layers can all soften your look, brighten your face, and give you that effortless elegance that heavy blunt bangs simply can't deliver. And now that we've talked about blunt bangs, a style that so often promises youth but rarely delivers, let's move into the final look on our list. The overly styled, stiff, sprayed hair that might feel glamorous, but usually ends up looking dated and frozen in time. That's where we're heading next. There's one hairstyle a lot of women our age still lean on when they want to look put together for a big occasion. It's that overly styled look, the tight curls, the heavy hairspray, the hair that doesn't dare move an inch. At first glance, it might seem glamorous, but in reality it often comes across as stiff, dated, and yes, a little fake. Have you ever looked back at old photos of yourself or friends with hair sprayed into place and thought, wow, that looks more like a helmet than real hair? I had a friend who once showed up to a formal event with perfectly curled ends and so much hairspray that her hair looked glued together. Instead of enhancing her natural beauty, it distracted from it. Some guests even whispered that the style looked too forced, like she was trying too hard. The next time, she tried something different, just a soft blowout with loose, natural waves and barely any spray. The response was night and day. People told her she looked radiant, fresh, and years younger. According to a 2020 survey in *, 61% of women over 55 admitted to using heavy hairspray regularly for events. But most eventually switched to softer, more natural looks when they realized stiff styles added years instead of taking them away. It's a reminder that true elegance doesn't come from perfection. It comes from movement, softness, and authenticity. I know this personally, too. At 62, I had an important dinner and went all out, tight curls, extra spray, the works. But when I saw myself in the mirror, I didn't see me. I saw a version of myself that looked tense and overdone. One of my closest friends pulled me aside and said, "Try something looser next time. You'll feel more like yourself." So I did. At the following event, I opted for a gentle blowout, added a few soft waves, and skipped the heavy spray. Not only did I feel lighter and freer, but people kept telling me how vibrant and youthful I looked. So let me ask you, are you still relying on hairspray to keep every strand locked in place? Do you feel your hair is showing off your natural glow, or is it holding you back by looking too rigid? The lesson here is simple. After 60, you don't need hair that's stiff, perfect, or frozen in time. You need hair that moves with you, reflects your energy, and highlights your confidence. A soft blowout, a few natural waves, and just a touch of product are more than enough to create a style that feels modern, chic, and truly effortless. And now we've walked through all 5 styles that often work against us instead of for us, from helmet hair to ultra-short crops, lifeless long locks, blunt bangs, and overly styled dos. Each one has a fresher, softer alternative that celebrates who we are today, vibrant, elegant, and unapologetically ourselves. After 60, we don't need to chase youth or follow every loud trend anymore. The best haircut now is the one that reflects who you are today, confident, elegant, and modern. Remember, every haircut is a chance to be reborn, a moment to step into the best version of yourself with pride and style. And I want to hear from you. Have you ever changed your hairstyle and been amazed at how much younger or more vibrant you looked? Share your story in the comments. Your experience could inspire another woman to take that step too. And don't forget to hit like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe so you never miss the next beauty and style tips made just for you. But let's be clear, what you've just learned is only one important piece of the puzzle. If you're truly serious about staying confident, youthful, and beautiful after 60, then the next video, stop wearing the wrong pants. Wide pants, healthy aging that make you look younger after 60 is something you absolutely cannot miss. Because yes, the right haircut will refresh your look, but the wrong pair of pants can throw off your entire image and steal away the elegance you deserve. So click on that next video now and complete your healthy aging journey, not just with your hair, but with your wardrobe too. Trust me, this is the step that will surprise you the most.